For decades, millions around the world have tuned into the powerful broadcasts of Jimmy Swaggart Ministries JSM, a Pentecostal powerhouse that shaped gospel television and reshaped American Christianity. Viewers see the familiar faces: Jimmy Swaggart's commanding sermons, Donnie Swaggart's energetic preaching, Gabriel's polished leadership, and of course, Frances Swaggart's ever-present devotion on Francis and Friends. But behind the scenes, there's a man you've never seen. He doesn't preach, he doesn't sing, he doesn't sit on stage, he doesn't appear on camera, but he runs everything. From the ministry's finances, to its legal battles, to who gets promoted, and who gets silenced. He is the puppet master. And finally, his name is being whispered out loud: William Billy Swaggart Jr. Part 1, The Hidden Hand. At first glance, Jimmy Swaggart Ministries looks like a family-run, faith-driven organization. It's structured that way on purpose. JSM has always leaned into its familial foundation to maintain a relatable image: the aging patriarch Jimmy, his sharp-tongued wife Frances, their passionate son Donnie, and the rising star grandson Gabriel. But just beyond the camera's edge, in an office sealed by multiple security doors, sits Billy Swaggart Jr., a name few have ever heard, and a man even fewer have seen. Who is he? Where did he come from? And why is his role so secret? Part 2. Born into the shadows. William Billy Swaggart Jr. is not Jimmy Swaggart's son, as many assume based on the name. He is, instead, the son of a cousin, a member of the broader Swaggart family, who grew up away from the limelight. From childhood, he was described as serious, silent, and strategic. While Donnie learned to preach and Gabriel grew up with a camera-ready charisma, Billy studied accounting, law, and administration. He never craved attention. He craved control. Insiders now say that in the early 2000s, as the ministry faced massive lawsuits, aging leadership, and donor fatigue, it was Billy who stepped in. He allegedly saved the ministry from collapse by reorganizing its finances, cutting costs, and enforcing strict control over internal staff. And with that move, his power began. Part 3, Puppet Master or Savior. There are two competing stories within JSM circles when it comes to Billy. The official version: Billy Swaggart is merely an administrator, a behind-the-scenes operations manager who ensures that the ministry's finances and legal affairs are handled with excellence. He's never on TV because he prefers to let the preachers preach. He's just a humble servant, serving God's kingdom quietly. The whispered version: Billy doesn't just help run JSM, he controls it. He reportedly approves every budget. He selects which preachers are invited on the platform. He vets every sermon before it airs. He even approves what Francis can and cannot say on Francis and Friends. He's the real power behind the pulpit, one anonymous ex-staffer told us. If Jimmy was the soul, Billy is the spine. Another insider claimed, when Donnie wants to do something, he checks with Billy. When Gabriel wants to launch a new campaign, he meets with Billy first. They all answer to him now. Part 4, The Frances Factor. What about Frances Swaggart, the firebrand matriarch of JSM? Surprisingly, sources say Frances respects Billy's mind and relies on his oversight. She trusts Billy more than her own son sometimes, said a former administrative assistant. He saved her show more than once from legal disaster. And while Frances is the public voice, Billy is the censor. Several former guests of Francis and Friends reported being cut off the show or never invited back, not because Francis didn't like them, but because Billy intervened. He watches every episode. He keeps legal teams on standby. He even runs background checks on new staff and media guests. Part 5. Gabriel versus Billy. The silent war in recent years. As Gabriel Swaggart rises to prominence as the future face of JSM, there's been quiet tension. Many within the ministry assumed Gabriel would soon take full control of operations. But he's hit a wall named Billy. While Gabriel is polished, public, and powerful, he's still not the final decision-maker. Reports suggest that Gabriel has tried to modernize the ministry's social media strategy, expand programming to younger audiences, loosen the strict doctrinal tone. But each move has allegedly been pushed back by Billy, who believes such changes would dilute the brand JSM spent decades building. One insider described it as a cold war. Gabriel brings the face, Billy brings the funds. One wants evolution, the other wants preservation. And guess who wins? The one who runs the books. Part 6. The money trail. Follow the money. Always. According to public filings and leaked documents from former JSM accountants, Billy controls the purse strings with absolute authority. Every donation goes through a process approved by Billy's department. Every check written, double signed by Billy's office. Every overseas mission, budgeted, trimmed, and evaluated by him. In fact, sources allege Billy was responsible for firing over 15 staff members between 2018 to 2022 as part of his lean and mean restructuring of the ministry. He's been called the CFO with a God complex, the man who counts the offerings and decides who gets blessed. And despite never appearing on screen, he reportedly makes more than Donnie Swaggart annually, thanks to consulting contracts and control over real estate holdings tied to JSM. Part 7. The Gabriel Coup Rumors. In early 2024, rumors circulated that Gabriel Swaggart attempted a quiet coup. An anonymous source inside Family Worship Center reported that Gabriel met privately with a few longtime board members to discuss a transition of authority. The goal? To move Billy into a purely financial advisory role and give Gabriel creative and executive authority over the entire ministry. The result? An explosive fallout. Billy allegedly got wind of the meeting and confronted Gabriel in what staffers call the hallway incident. Witnesses say the two men argued loudly near the media department. Security cameras were reviewed, and by the next week, two of Gabriel's closest allies had been reassigned and silenced. The internal war was real, and it left the ministry fractured. Part 8. Why has no one seen him? This is the question that drives internet sleuths wild. Why doesn't Billy ever appear on camera? Here's what we know. He declines all media interviews. He refuses to be photographed at events. Even in official JSM directories, his photo is missing. Some believe it's part of a strategy to keep power without accountability. If no one knows what he looks like, no one can question him. Others believe he's simply deeply private and sees no reason to chase celebrities. But there's a darker theory. He knows the backlash that would come if people realized who's really calling the shots, says one YouTube expert. If donors knew it wasn't Jimmy or Donnie or even Frances running the show, but this invisible man behind the curtain, it might cause mass distrust. So the cameras roll, the preaching continues. And Billy? He watches, silently, from behind the screen. Part 9. The legacy question with Jimmy Swaggart's death now confirmed. All eyes are on the future of JSM. Who will inherit the mantle? Don, Gabriel? Francis? Or the invisible man? As succession plans are quietly negotiated, multiple sources say Billy has already set the framework for the next 10 years. From board appointments to budget allocations to international licensing contracts, Billy built the empire's future before anyone realized the patriarch was gone. And unlike the others, he doesn't need applause. Part 10. What now? Millions continue to send in donations, watch the broadcasts and visit the massive Baton Rouge campus, unaware that the man orchestrating everything doesn't even sit on the stage. Is that a betrayal? Or brilliant strategy? That depends on your view of power. In a world where pastors crave fame and churches chase viral moments, maybe the most dangerous person in the room is the one you never see. Billy Swaggart Jr. never wanted to be known. But now? He may no longer have a choice. Final thought, he doesn't preach, he doesn't sing, but he holds the fate of Jimmy Swaggart Ministries in his hands. And as the empire shifts in the wake of Jimmy's passing, the man behind the curtain has stepped into the light, whether he wanted to or not.